Hi, I'm Ben Pindar and I'm the PR Account Manager at Red Stag Media, and in this week's Agri Marketing Mastery I'm going to talk about 5 top tips for media interviews, and I'm going to try and do it in 5 minutes instead of waffling on like I normally do. So when thinking about media interviews, they're a great opportunity, or they should be a great opportunity for your business. You know, it's a great chance for you to promote who you are, what you do, show you're the expert, as I talk about so much in other videos. There will be those occasions when you need to face the cameras when there's maybe not exactly in the ideal situation. It might be a crisis or something like that. But either way, these 5 top tips are going to be critical and very important when you're thinking about doing a media interview. So the first thing with all media interviews, whether it's in print, on radio, on TV, online, whatever it needs to be, is think carefully about your key messages. So before you even sit down with the journalist, make sure you've got your key messages prepped, rehearsed in your head, and this is about making sure you get across what you need to say. Normally that's going to be about your business, about whichever project you're trying to promote at that time, or those key messages you need to get across if it's a crisis. Now, the one thing to remember with a media interview is that you might be talking for 5 or 10 minutes to the journalist, but they're only going to use some very short pieces of that interview. So with those key messages, make sure you repeat them, keep going back to them, and use them at every opportunity throughout the interview to make sure that those messages are conveyed when they actually get to the final cut of the interview itself, or the written piece, for example. Number 2 is bridging statements. Now, this is a really powerful media technique, and as you can see, I've drawn a bridge which is sort of indicative of where we are based in the UK. But with a bridging statement, the idea of this is it's to help you get back to those key messages. So it might be you face a tough question you're not particularly comfortable about answering. You can use that bridging statement to take it back to the key message again. Or it might be that it's a more generic question that you're happy to answer, but you still want to try and pull back to those key messages. So here, there's some good examples about how you can deflect and go back to your key message each time. So I won't go through them all, but you can see what you're trying to do is you're saying, so the interviewer asks you the question, you go, yes, I understand that, but what we find the more important issue is, and you go back to your key message. Again, you know, it might be, while this question is important, I think it's also important that we talk about this, and go back to your key message. So make sure you've got those rehearsed, drilled into your head in every opportunity, and use those bridging statements to deflect and also to make sure you're constantly going back. Number 3, keep your answers short. The journalist is looking for a soundbite, so don't be tempted to waffle on, much like I do in these videos, obviously, but keep them very short, succinct, and to the point. Obviously, don't lie. If you don't know the answer, it's completely fine to say, I don't know. You'll just have to move on and go to another question, or you can ask them to refer it to one of your colleagues who might have more of an idea of how to answer it. Don't try and bluff your way out of it. It looks clumsy, it looks unprofessional, and it destroys any trust you might be building up, not only with the journalist, but with the audience as well. The other thing to do is avoid jargon. Every industry is littered with jargon, and anyone outside of that, it's impenetrable. They won't understand it. So make sure you try and avoid any of that industry-focused jargon that's going to confuse your message. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to have an opinion. All too often people are very bland. They don't want to try to be caught controversy or share a strong opinion about anything. And it doesn't have to be a strong opinion, but it's important to have an opinion. And if you've got some good opinions, you're not afraid to share them, and you're good at delivering these sound bites, the journalist is going to keep coming back for more because they'll know you're going to provide quality content for them, and it means you get more media opportunities going forward. Number 4, and this is really important, and it's something I tell to everybody whenever we do any media training or anything like that, is for example, and if you can use that in any response you're actually providing to an interviewer, that's a great opportunity. So for example is about how you bring it to life. It shows that real world impact. So if you're talking about a particular initiative, it can feel very dry when you're talking about how you plan to deliver it and what the impact's going to be on a very generic level, at that top level. What you need to do is actually go, well, for this farmer, for example, what he did is he took our initiative, he did this on his land, and here's the impact. So don't be afraid to bring some facts, but you've got to bring it to life, and the best way to do that is for example. So don't be afraid to think about that as well. And the final one, a lot of these are really about my time as a journalist. I spent 20 odd years as a journalist in the nationals and business media all over the place, and colleagues here at the Red Stag will be the same, and we had a lot of dirty tricks to getting people to talk and tell us what they didn't want to tell us. And one of my favourites is the void. If the interviewer stops talking, do not try and fill the silence. Stop talking too. What they're trying to do is get you to talk beyond those key messages you've rehearsed, and if they're sat silently, they're expecting you to try and fill the void. So if they're not asking questions, don't answer. Wait for them to take the lead and start that again. And that's about it really. So hopefully that's about 5 minutes of quick video tips. The one final bonus tip I will give you is this. When the notebook's closed, the interview isn't over. Don't be fooled into thinking that now the notebook's closed, it's a nice relaxed conversation and you can say what you like. The journalist is still keeping that in mind, taking a record, and it's quite easy for them to open it again. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed that Agri Marketing Mastery, and if you've got any more suggestions or questions, please get in touch and I'll see you in the next one.